G'day fellow creatures of the internet, this is a nice must-see and subscribe to Argonian here on YouTube and the online ambassador of Black Marsh, Bruzo Dragonius. For this episode of Argonian.POV I'm going to talk to you and educate you about my understanding of cultural appropriation. There could be various definitions of that word, cultural appropriations, but however, it would be most likely the bad type of way. You see, the term of cultural appropriation is, to most people, to misrepresent a race in a certain fashion, in a certain ideology, and also within the art itself of many cultures. It could, to most people, it could be a form of racism. And the reason for that is that, like I said, it is a practice that people, it's the name of the thing that people gave that, ironically, cultural appropriation, because it is to misrepresent a certain culture that had been most likely colonized or oppressed and all that kind of stuff. Like, for instance, the African Americans, or the Aboriginals or the Native Americans, etc., etc. Such examples of cultural appropriation that's deemed as such is, for instance, where a certain person, a certain character of a certain real life race, like an Indian, being misrepresented as a mascot of a certain team. Like, for instance, the team that is formerly known as the Washington Redskins, due to cultural appropriation, they have changed their name to the Washington Capitals. So, in other words, like I said, it's to misrepresent a certain real life culture that had been oppressed and all that kind of stuff. And another example of stuff, and that's what people of the actual Indians are looked down upon, is that of the white people or people that is not of that culture wear certain clothing, like the headdress, as for instance a Halloween costume, even though that I understand that most people aren't really that much big or not really that much keen in someone that's not of their culture dress up as them. And it's been an entire subject that the woke community, or that is being discussed throughout social media as well, to be honest. And it has been taken with such rules now that they can be easily hurt or offended if, say, a white person decides to have braids. But knowingly that braids, to me personally, is that it can be formed by accident. They're just the way that the hair goes, and it doesn't matter on what human culture that you're from. Okay, the human hair can behave like that if it's not properly maintained. I know that as an experience, as that I used to have long hair as a human being. And people can get hurt and easily offended by that. Even though that even in the 90s, you got every member of Korn, you got some members of PLD that has that sort of hairstyle. And the thing about it is that I don't know if it's on purpose or if it wants to look cool and all that kind of stuff. But I think that with the cultural appropriation is going to be in, and even though that, yes, there has been cases that people are hurt in the past, I do get that throughout history, whether you're an African American, whether you're a Native American, whether you're an Aboriginal, I do understand the pain, or I do see the pain that they go through. I know that I can't fully understand the pain that the Aboriginals gone through, because of simply being is that I'm white as a human being. Even though that white people are known as, and I quote, the colonizers, or the oppressors, like, to be honest with you, I can't help being born what I am, And yes, we're not perfect. And the reason why that I'm talking about relating the cultural appropriation as a furry YouTuber, there's a very in social media by the name of Nefertiti had been attacked by Native Americans and their activists over the design of one of her characters, saying she isn't really a Native American. And she's been attacked for that. Like, there's a certain feature of their character, you know, Nefertiti. If you haven't seen her content or whatever, you know, check out her TikTok. You know, you can follow her on YouTube. I'll just provide links down below. Just show her some love, please. Honestly, she's really awesome. She, with her fursuits and that, and all the tips and the education that she gave to other furries and that, she's worth the love and support. Not only that, but she likes to give lore to her characters with some of their hobbies. Like, and the thing about it is that the designer hobbies is that she likes picking fruit. Okay? Now, that is, even though that, yes, she is white, okay, as a human. I do get that. And even though that through her TikTok, I can see that she owned up to it. She apologized. You know, she understands the pain that she gone through. I know that no one can be perfect. And to be honest with you, I don't know what's with all the drama concerning someone else's character design because of some feature which is the feather behind this one character, between the E of one of her characters. I don't understand the drama at all. Same as I don't understand the drama of why white people can't have dreadlocks. Even though that I do understand that that's even an accidental hairstyle. I'll learn that you even get dreadlocks for not looking after your hair. That's from what I know. It's just human hair. That's the way that human hair behaves. And yes, we do make mistakes offending people and all that kind of stuff. Maybe in our lives. You know, I'm not really perfect, and yes, I do unknowingly that people out me for doing racist things, you know. But I'm not trying to be racist. Hell, I'm not even racist at all. Neither is Nefertiti. And the thing about it is that what I do like about her is that at least that she owned up to it. Hell, I would love to defend Nefertiti. Okay? Even though that with all the death threats that she received because of this one character's feature. You know, it's not that right, you know. I don't think that's right. Because the fact being is, don't we have a freedom of creativity within our characters? Don't we have that? And I'm not trying to defend Nefertiti because I do respect that she doesn't want to be defended by that because it's going to hurt more than it is to better. You know, to lessen the pain. I have to admit that even that I once myself admitting that to commit such acts of cultural appropriation myself. It's only an experiment, I know that. But I once thought, well, because that Argonians are more of so much of a tribal culture within itself, you know, within the Argonian people, within the species. I mean, don't get me wrong. The law that they have, that Bethesda have about Argonians is so freaking elaborate that it would make life to me as a cosplayer more easier, and I would know the traditional dress of the Argonian people, right? Now, I'm not going to expect anyone to to defend me or anything like that. Nor that I want death threats over it. But I'm not that perfect, because of the fact being is that I've written something on social media, on Facebook, saying, well, because I like to dress to the themes of each con that I go to. You know, that's what I like to do. You know, I don't know if I'm going to put together a pirate outfit for Furdu, you know, yeah, or something like that. But I like to dress to the themes of the con I go to. I once put this hypothetical scenario, seeing that my first ever fur convention that I've been to is themed around the Australian outback. And I was just thinking, well, what if, for instance, just for the theme, if any con were to have a theme of the Australian outback or anything Australian related, how would you feel about Bruzo going to the con floor wearing traditional Aboriginal garment that they seen performing around, that I later looked up, known as a lap lap. And if you don't know what a lap lap is, it's these rags that the Aboriginal people wear around, you know, in place of their underwear, you know, that they usually wear to cover up their privates while being covered in paint. You know, I typed that in because of some sort of picture that I seen on Google of an Argonian hunter wearing something similar to an Aboriginal warrior. A pre-colonial Aboriginal warrior with a lap lap or something that's similar to a lap lap. And I just got on Facebook and I say, what if I were to wear that as Bruzo? The reason why I was thinking that is because I want to portray the tribal the tribal nature of the Argonian or Saxon culture. I didn't mean to offend anyone. Don't get me wrong. I'm not racist. I don't want to offend anyone. I know that I'm a white person, a white fella, as a human being. But I had so much negative comments over it, saying, well, that's cultural appropriation. You know, you're not Aboriginal, so you don't deserve to wear such thing as a lap lap or anything like that, because I'm white as a human. Not because of the fact over that I'm portraying an Argonian character whose culture is a lot similar to the real life tribal cultures. And I later learned that the Argonians are not really inspired by even the Torres Strait Islanders. You know, and like I said, I really am starting to love the Aboriginal culture because I grew up around them. I grew up around Aboriginal. And I even respect them to even say that I'm a guest in aerobical land. So, lucky that I didn't put that on Twitter and all that kind of stuff. Okay? And just because I bring that up, okay, I was talked out of it. That it wouldn't be a good idea to wear a lap lap even as Bruzo. And I was just thinking, why? Why can't I wear a lap lap as Bruzo? And because that's a thing of cultural appropriation. That I'm hurting the Aboriginal people. That I'm offending them. And there's a such thing as, and there's a difference between cultural appreciation and cultural appropriation. And now I know for sure that if there is a con whose theme is the Australian outback or whatever's Australian, or Australia, whatever's, everything's Australia, I learned that not wearing a lap would be a form of cultural appropriation. And not to mention that Argonian culture is more inspired throughout the law from the Native Americans, like a mixture of the Native American, the Aztecs, the Mayans, and some of the cultures around the Amazon. I'm just going to open up a question saying, well, what are your thoughts about this cultural appropriation? What are your thoughts about have you heard of the BS that's going around that has something to do with Nefertiti and her misuse of cultural appropriation? Not to mention that, again, she appreciates the Native American culture like I do with the Aboriginal culture. Because both me and Nefertiti grew up around the indigenous cultures of our respected countries. Also, if you do like this video, smash that like button. Please consider subscribing to this channel in case if you haven't already. If you do like my content so far, and if you want to support me through social media, please consider subscribing to this channel. There is other ways of supporting me through social media in the description down below as a way, and also the ways to help me out financially. If you want to friend me on PSN, or if you want to find me wherever in Tamriel, just be on the lookout for my game tag, Bruzo21. In fact, if you want to friend me on PSN, or if you want to play with me on PSN, or game with me so far, that is my game tag, Bruzo21. As always, I want to thank you so much for watching this video. Even though that giving out my 2 cents around this Nefertiti situation and cultural appropriation and all that kind of stuff. Thank you so much for watching it to the end. To my new subscribers, I will thank you so much. You have no idea how appreciative I am of my new subscribers. And you're all amazing. I love you all. And as always, this is the most must-see and subscribe again here on YouTube, Bruzo Dragonius, saying I love yous. You're all amazing. Even if you did watch this video to the end, especially, like, you know, and more so if you do subscribe to this channel. And as always, I want to wrap it up by saying these words. May His guide you all, and bye for now.